Welcome everybody to Stock Analysis Friday. My name is Bennett McDowell with TradersCoach.com, and we welcome you today. All right, so a couple things here before we get going. Stock Analysis Friday is all about you. It's all about looking up stocks that you want me to give you my opinion on based on our software trading tools, my analysis, and so forth. So we've been in business at TradersCoach.com technically since the year, I guess, 2000. We actually started in 1998, incorporated in 2000. And I was trading many years before that at institutions on Wall Street. So in any case, let's get going. Go ahead and type in any symbols you want me to look at right now. You can do that in the comments area. If you have trouble with the video or you have trouble with the audio, let us know. And then if the problem's on your end, just come back into the room, leave the room, come back. If a problem on our end, of course, we'll immediately jump on it. All right, looks like I'm looking at the comments. Looks like the audio and the video are doing good. So that's always a good start as we get going. All right, so let me just first go over the risks involved in trading. Like I always say, without that risk, there is no opportunity. So the two really go hand in hand. But you need to be aware of the risks, and that's not only in trading, but in any financial endeavor you do. But with trading, always trade with money you can afford to risk, called risk capital. And then on each individual investment or trade, excuse me, always calculate the risk you're going to be taking on that particular venture, and then calculate your trade size. I've got a couple books out there published by major publishers on this topic, and you can check those out in just a minute. And I'll put a link down below in the history here so you can take a look at that in the comments area. All right, other thing too, check with your financial advisor. If there's any stocks we're recommending here today, check with your financial advisor. Make sure they're suitable for you. I don't know your personal situation, and of course they do. So they should have the final say on whether it's something that is viable for you or not. So real important stuff. You can't negate the risk. You got to make sure you do risk control on every trade. A lot of people getting into the markets don't do this, especially when they're new. They usually do this after they get beat up a little bit. In other words, take a few losses in the markets. We don't want that to happen to you. So definitely heed that warning. All right, so now a couple things here. The two books I was alluding to are both money management. You can see those in the lineup there. You can order those on Amazon or any major bookstore. My newest book is on the far right, called The Art of Trading. That's coming out this year, all right? Hadn't even been officially published yet. So that's coming out, and that should be out at the end of the summer. You can pre-order it and then have it shipped directly to you when it comes out. And this is a second edition. My first edition came out in 2008. Since then, a lot of changes have occurred, not only in the markets, but also new software that we've come out with and tested. So you definitely want to check that out in the new book. It's going to be about 450 pages. So we really take a deep dive in the important stuff. On the Elliott Wave Technique Simplified book, this is a form of technical analysis that I truly believe in. I've been using it for over 30 years now. And this form of analysis really gives us kind of a roadmap or a forecast of where we think the market is going. And then we use our software to verify that forecast, because our software focuses on items in the market like momentum, price patterns, and things like that across a variety of time frames. Survival Guide for Traders basically is just that, how to survive in the markets. But the real purpose of that book was to illustrate, using today's technology, how you can run your trading business directly from your home today and run it just like a professional hedge fund. So that's really important. And just so you know, we have clients around the world in pretty much all the countries out there. I think the last time I looked, it was like 85 countries worldwide is using our software and our tools. We have hedge funds using our tools as well. So not only for the private investor, but the institutional investors as well. And the tools they're using is this right here. We call it the Ultimate Trading System. Again, it's looking at key variables in the markets like momentum, price patterns, things of that nature. We have scanners to find those particular stocks, ETFs, coins, whatever you're trading. And then at the bottom, of course, is our risk control software. Again, many systems out there fall short on the fact that they don't imply risk control on their trade or a way to get out. we definitely cover that in tremendous detail. I think it's one of the most important aspects of trading is keeping your losing trades as small as possible, letting your winners run. And that is where risk control comes in. And risk control includes psychology to be able to do that. Stay with your winners is not so easy as it sounds. Getting out of trades that you believe in is not so easy as it sounds when those particular points say to get out. So again, this is all about trading, and there's quite a lot to it. And that's why we're here to guide you. All right, finally, give us a like right now. Just take a minute, give us a like, on YouTube and all these platforms. If you don't have a lot of likes, they don't like you. Okay, so make sure you give us a like. Also, you should, you're probably already here, so you subscribe, so that's not a problem. But also too, on this forum here, the more people that come here, the more stocks we look up. The more stocks we look up, the more trades we can find. So it really does you a benefit to bring people that are interested in the markets here, and let's take a look at it. One of the other benefits here, just to cover real quickly before we get into the charts, is, if you get a call from your broker or financial advisor, and they're telling you, okay, this is a great stock, fundamentally, it looks really good. Chances are they really aren't taking a look at it from a technical perspective, which is what we are all about. So bring that stock here on a Friday. Let us look at it. Let me look at it. Let me give you my analysis on it. And then if it's still a go for it. Otherwise, if I'm telling you can get a better price a little later, you might want to think twice about it. That's another great purpose of this service. All right, so let me get out of this stuff and go full screen here. All right, and there is our charts. Now, a couple things you need to look at here in order to understand what you're looking at here. This is on the far left-hand side, I have 3 charts, and they're all in what we call NinjaTrader, which is a charting platform and a really excellent one. Our software works in NinjaTrader, it works in TradeStation, it works in eSignal, it works at MT4, MT5, and multi-chart. So we cover a very vast and broad spectrum of charts our software looks at. But when we set the software up, we do it in a very unique way. Not only do we load all our indicators, but we set up 3 charts, and that's what you're looking at here. We have on the far left-hand chart a 60-minute chart. And what does that mean? It means every price bar represents an hour. So if this gives us basically a short-term look at the markets. In the middle, we have a daily chart where every price bar represents a full day. This is what I call the intermediate chart. And then on the far right, we have the weekly chart where every price bar represents 5 trading days or a full week of trading. And this is a long-term chart. So when I divide up a market like this, what it allows me to do is see what's going on short-term, what's going on intermediate, and what's going on long-term. And the key behind that is that's going to give me a better picture, a more in-depth picture of what that particular stock, ETF, futures, this happens to be Bitcoin, so I'm going to take it off this in just a minute. But whatever you're looking at, this gives you a good caption of the entire aspect of that stock. So notice that you basically load the same symbol on each 3 charts, and I've got it set up automatically to do that. When you buy our software engineer can go on to your NinjaTrader or whatever platform you're using and set you up like this, or you can do it yourself, either or. At the top is our scanners. We're not going to use those today. And you can see on some of these charts here that we have very funny, strange looking things like this pyramid here. You see these on all our charts. We use this for entries, exits, price pattern recognition, risk control. Down here, we have the owl that we use for momentum and Elliott wave counting. Here we have the PTF to tell us if a trend is over or not. Down here is a trend line automatically drawn on your charts called the Trend Line Master. And down here is the ERI, which is the Emotional Reader Index, which measures fear and greed. All of that is our software. Okay, that's not included in NinjaTrader. You have to go to TradersCoach.com or our sister website, AppliedRealityTrading.com, in order to get this software. And then we load it on all 3 charts. So just a quick run over of what you're looking at. All right, this is Bitcoin, still doing pretty well. It's broken out of a pennant. You can see that on the center chart. A pennant is a form of technical analysis where we draw in highs and lows, and as they narrow, it forms a pennant, and it broke out, and it also broke out with a pyramid. So we're thinking Bitcoin's going up one more time here before we get to a short-term top. So we're looking pretty good on Bitcoin. All right, long-term, we're also looking good on Bitcoin, but you are going to have a correction at some point, so you kind of want to be a little careful. All right, let's get into what you want to look at here. All right, let me see here. Yes, good morning, everybody. All right, our first candidate, our first victim, Stuart, that is you. All right, TEAM. Let's go ahead and jump in and see what you got cooking out there. All right, so this is team, and let's see what you're looking at here. Oh, and don't forget, Stuart put on here really good watch list. I like that, which means he's looking at it. If you're long already, let me know. If you're thinking about going long, I guess just put in thinking about going long, possible long. Short, the same thing, all right? We'll take a look at that. That way it gives me an orientation into what you're trying to do with it. All right, so on team, notice I've loaded in all three time frames here. So the long-term time frame over here, couple things we want to take a look at. It looks like, Stuart, you're trying to get this new flow up. So we got to make sure we have a bottom here, right? All right, so let's open that chart up first and take a look and see what's cooking on that. And okay, it makes sense to me what you're looking at here. So I've got history going back on this to about 2016. Now I'm going to grab Fibonacci's. I use that. I'm not going to go into how they work because if you're really interested in that, we have courses on that as well. But all right, so that dipped down way below a normal retracement. So it should have gone in here and then gone up here. Okay, so we gotta take that into account. So this is probably not a wave 3, because if it was a wave 3, we wouldn't have come down this far rather. So this is probably a 1. This is a 2. Now we're probably accelerating into wave 3. Now, what do those numbers mean? Well, those numbers are basically Elliott wave. Remember that book I showed you that said Elliott wave technique simplified? Well, the Elliott wave basically was created by a guy by the name of Ralph Nelson Elliott. And he didn't create it, actually. It was an observation he noticed in the market that trends move in waves of 5s. There's subwaves, there's long-term waves, micro to macro. So it's a fairly in-depth look at the wave structure formed by crowd psychology, which means that it is formed by traders interacting and the emotions created as we humans go into profit taking and greed and fear and so forth, right? So that's what he came up with, and this is going into 3. What you need to know about 3. Wave 3 is that after wave 2 ends, then you got the most powerful wave, which is wave 3. All right, so what do we got cooking here? All right, so this little indicator here that I created is called the PTF, and it is actually, I think, one of the most useful indicators when you're thinking about going into a trade, or if you're in a trade and you're wondering if you should stay in it. So this basically is now green, indicating there is a 75% probability. And in the markets, folks, that's about as good as you can get. That's huge. That we should eventually rise back up and take out the high of what I have indicated as wave 1. And that's what wave 3 would do. So that supports the case as well that we're in a big move up. Now we have to look at the timing. Is the timing right to get in? It probably would have been better, all right, a couple of weeks ago, but it's still okay, I think, based on that chart. Let's see if the short-term charts tell us to take a pause here or go in it. All right, a couple things here. We got to move off its bottom here. We've got a green owl. That's good. No red. That's good. All right, we got a little bit of red here. So basically what that's saying is that here we haven't had the definition of an uptrend met. And what's that definition? Well, you can see we've slid down here. Now we're rotating up. We got to wait for a pullback and another high, because the definition of a trend is higher highs and higher lows. I'd love to see one of our bullish pyramids come in here, right there, and take the trade then. So I think I'm going to put this on a watch list. I think it's really close. We could see this triggering pretty soon. So let's put team on a watch list. I want to see a pyramid down there form before giving it a position trade long. Now on the 60-minute chart, it looks bullish as well. We've got a lot of green down here. Let's wait for this pullback. Notice you had a pyramid on this time frame here. So if you were trading this only for a few days, you'd have been long a while ago on that. All right, thank you for that one. Let's go take a look at your next one, APEI, and see what we got cooking here. All right, let me just run down here, make sure it looks like everybody's audio's everything. I always have to double check that. All right, so good turnout today. Give us a like again. I see a couple likes coming in. We're loving that. All right, so APEI. This is one actually that was good probably, what, about 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, back in November. Well, actually November here, but on the weekly chart here, yeah, I guess that would have been late 2023. Time flies, right, when you're having fun. Okay, so on this one here, a little late to get in. And the reason I say that is we're probably in a pullback still. If you look at the 60-minute chart, which is why I like to look at these short-term charts, notice we still got an active pyramid here. Okay, this was an MP, this was a minor indicating slight pull-up, but the dominant trend is still down. We have red here. After this trend ends, then I'm going to get excited because it's basically calling for, if this stays green, it's close to going red. But if it stays green, that's a good sign. This will stay green more than likely. I'm thinking we got a little bit more movement down here. Let me just run a couple fibs on here and let's see if we're down into the target range yet for the fibs. And no, not yet. Okay, so we got to kind of wait here. Though we did have one here earlier, didn't we? Okay, nope, that missed it. Okay, so I'm thinking probably this is more of a hook inside wave 3 at this particular point. So I'm thinking let it come down. No go on this one. You can put this one on a watch list if you want. I'm not going to because it's got to come down for a couple weeks. Okay. All right. Thank you, Stuart. Good job. All right, Al. Let's see what we got here. RRC. All right, RRC. Okay. So what I'm liking on this is that we seem to be heading back up, obviously, right? But what I don't like about it is it's got too many price bars in a row of a movement to the upside, and we're due probably for some type of pullback. So I probably wait for the pullback before getting too excited about getting in here. So why do I say that? All right, if it's going higher, why wouldn't you just jump in? Because if you go in here and you get a pullback here, all right, you can get a better price here. So it's better to wait. All right. Now, could it go a little higher before you get? You could. All right. But here you're kind of chasing the market. I don't really like to do that. The entry would have been better back in February or March. Okay. So you're a little late to the party on this one. All right. Let's take a look at CTRA. And yes, I'm very strict on entering and exiting based on the rules because that's everything we have. That's how we stay grounded. All right. This thing now is pretty good up here. Again, I'm going to look at those long-term charts. Let's see where we're going. All right. Kind of volatile, right? All right. There's a lot of times in this stock where if you would have gone in back in October when the rest of the market was doing phenomenal, this didn't. All right. Same here. Look at these periods where you know, why waste your time with markets like this when you can get into markets that really are moved during that October period, right? So you kind of want to, part of trading is staying out of these markets that are so-so and look for the ones that really have the momentum. All right, so, okay, not crazy about it, kind of thinking about a pullback. We also have not taken out this high, which really marks the channel. And let me just erase this for a minute, and I'm going to show you, I think we can draw a pennant in here. Let me try doing that and see what we can get up on this weekly chart for a pennant on this. So if we take a line here, come across here at this point, you have to anchor 2 points to the upside and 2 to the downside. No, we don't really have a pennant yet. That's not, well, maybe a little bit. But you see, this could stay bracketed. Yeah, that's a pennant. This could stay bracketed for quite some time, another few months, or it could break out. So I'd like it to take out this high here of 29, what, 89 before I get too excited about it. All right. So if you're trading the shorter time frames, again, too late to get in. Okay. Wait for the pullback if you want to do that. Not crazy about that one. Personally, I wouldn't touch it at all. All right. DGX. Let's see what we got here. All right. I don't think I'd be long here. All right, Al, you got a red PTF on the, what is that, the daily chart. And you've got some bearishness here and there. This pyramid would not have been taken because of the red PTF. We don't take bullish pyramids during times of PTF going against the PTF. So, yeah, I'm not kind of liking it. All right. Are you going to get bailed out? Maybe, maybe not. All right. I don't know where you got in, but I would probably personally, if I was in it, talk to your financial advisor, but if I was in it, I'd probably be out. Okay. So you might just want to exit that one, but that's your decision. All right. Let's see what we got here. Bradley, how are you? Happy Friday. Yes to you as well. All right. Let's see. Frank, how are you? Good to have you here. Day trading buddy. And Jim, another day trading buddy. Let's take a look at Jim's here. Let's take a look at USO. All right. Have you noticed gas prices going up at the pump? Especially if you live in California, right? Of course, they're always up there. All right. So here's USO, which is the ETF for crude oil across these 3 time frames. We initiated a buy on this a while back. We like it. Our target's around 100 to 110, right around in there. And we're kind of on our way. I think at this particular point here, we got a little bit of a gap up. We're probably due for some type of pullback. Now, when I say pullbacks, that's not necessarily bad in the markets, because markets, whenever you have a target in the market that's kind of far away, you're not going to usually go straight up and hit the target. All right, what happens is you go up a little bit, you have a little bit of fear coming in and profit taking, then it comes down, then people like it again, and it goes up. So you have this zigzagging formation on the way to the target. And so what we do as traders is try to take a look at that zigzag formation, because we call those waves, and they're kind of like Elliott waves, right? And we try to use those to our advantage. So if something has already gone up a lot, then we probably should wait for the zag, right? Which is the move down, the profit taking, and then try to get in at a better price. And sometimes it can be significant. It can be 10, 15, 20% better. And in some cases, 38 to 61% better. So it really pays to be patient and wait for the right setup. And that's the hardest part of trading. So while, this looks good long-term, I don't know if you're in it already. I assume you are, because you're in our market opportunity report service that includes all our stock picks each and every week. So we had you in this a while ago. So I'm pretty sure, Jim, you're already in this. So at this particular point, no reason not to hold it right now, but expect some type of pullback. Our pyramids got you situated here pretty well, that if you got in early and you want to take profits on the next pullback, all right, you could do that in a variety of ways. You could use the short-term time frame, or you could use some of these pyramids for the stop loss on the daily chart. Leave that up to you. And if you want to stay in it even longer and don't worry about the zig and the zag, then you got to put your stop a little bit lower under a normal fib pullback. All right. So I'm not going to recommend this one. It's a little bit too elevated now at this particular point. I would have everybody wait for the pullback. All right. UVXY. UVXY. All right. Ooh, I'm liking this. All right. Jim kind of knows what I like, I think. But in any case here, all right, a couple things here to take a look at. Looks like we got a gap up here. I don't know if that's a data problem. I don't see any big gap on the daily chart. But anyway, maybe that's just for today. Then looks like it's just for the day. All right. But it did start low and then move up. So yeah, that's just for the day. Okay. All right. So let's take a look at this long term. All right. So let me actually, so you can see it better. All of us can see it better. There you go. All right. So what I'm trying to see is what are these triangular pyramids doing right now? So we technically still, all right, have an active short trade in place. And this has been really profitable. You could have gotten in, let's see where we could have gotten. I'll take a look at it in a minute. But I don't want to go long. This is red here. So this is not quite ready in my book to take a full position to the long side. I think we may be getting at a point where we may see it. But I mean, look at this. Do you want to get stuck in here? All right. So if you believe, I guess, the market is, this is going to move up dramatically and take out its high, fine. But you got to wait until the market is really posting in the facts to do that. And even on the daily chart, we still are not technically seeing that yet. Yeah, we've got a blip up. The short-term chart is showing that. But again, I want to see a pullback. I want to see this bottom hold and then another move up. Maybe a pyramid gets in here, right? And then we take it up. The pyramids form on certain price structures like that. So they're kind of biased to wait for that pullback and another surge to, create the definition of the trend. In this case, it would be a higher high, higher low, and a higher high. So you kind of are waiting on the pyramid to form for that definition. And in addition, the pyramid's also looking at the momentum that is required for a high probability entry. So there's a lot of little calculations going on in these pyramids that you kind of want to wait for, right? So I would put this on a watch list right now, but I got a feeling it's going to be on your watch list for a while unless this thing really shows some follow through. All right, let's take a look at VOO. Ooh. All right, so it looks like we looked at this one before as well. So again, looks like we're starting to see a little bit of a pullback here. All right, and my target based on fibs alone is around 442 to 417, and we're at 471. So you don't want to go in here. It's too late, but you kind of want to keep an eye on it. Now, one of the things that I want to see here, because we do have a green PTF on the shorter time frame. So that's indicating we should go up one more time. Let me just see. I think that's the all-time high it's sitting at. Yep. So you're probably going up one more time before it sells off. So we may have to readjust those. So if you're in it, stay in it. All right. The pyramid's way down here for the stop on that. So you're pretty well protected. I would stay with this. I'm not going to recommend it for new folks because it's too far gone. All right. So you don't want to chase those markets. All right, Eleanor, good morning. Good to have you here. Jean says, thanks for all the looks or likes, I guess. All right, very good. And we're back here with Al. Okay, Al has got 3. All right, so you're not in these. Great information. AEYLM. So Al is telling me he's looking at these as a possible trade. So he kind of, did I type that in? Is that correct, Al? It's not coming up. Check that. Whoop, no. So that's a bad symbol, Al. Check that symbol for me, will you? Let's move on to ALPM. ALPM. All right. So let's see what we got. All right. So this one is already moved off the bottom. So again, what a great trade this would have been. Let's open up this chart here. So here's exactly what I'm talking about. All right. So, here's where we broke the channel here. Okay. Started moving up. You already had a pyramid here, but the idea is wait for it to break the channel. So your first entry on this would make a lot of sense. Since then, it's gone way up, right? So in a case like that, it's a little, I would wait for the pullback. You don't want to, I'm not a market chaser. Okay. On this. This is a tremendous move up. There is no question of it. And we're probably, you've got green PTFs across the board. There's no question this is going higher. This would have been a better trade back here. Okay. Look at that. That's where it broke the channel in that time frame. So you could have gotten in pretty early here. And then that would have been just great. You would have, basically your stop currently would be here, right? So I don't think I'm going to recommend it. It's too far escalated. Yeah, it's going to go higher, but now it's Russian roulette, depending on exactly how you can get in and so forth. Looks like there's some price triggering up here. So I would wait for a profit-taking phase, and you might have to wait a while, or at least filling that gap. But I would hold back on that. The trade was a while ago, GRAB, and you're going to miss some. I'll tell you, when you first start trading and you miss a trade like that, you start saying, oh my gosh, I feel so bad all day. Don't, okay? Because the nice thing about the markets, there's always an opportunity right around the corner. So when I miss one, just shrug it off, okay? Don't panic over it. All right, GRAB goes back to 2022. Not a lot of history. Can't do any type of forecasting with the Elliott wave. I can tell you we're in a channel and still in it. And again, as traders, do we want to get in a channel like this and have our money sitting idle for like a year? No. Okay. So you want to wait for these breakouts. This is not broken out on this time frame, and not broken out with a pyramid on this one. So no go on GRAB. Okay. All right. Stuart is back. SWK. All right. Let's bring this over. Okay. Let's see what we got cooking. So I'm going to open up the long-term weekly chart. Remember, every price bar represents a full week here. All right, nice move down. Pyramids did a nice job with that. We got a basing bottom. We had a breakout of this channel already. So where is that breakout? Well, check this out. First of all, I love the pyramids that form down here. All right, so that's a good sign. You do have a dominant pyramid here. Okay, so if you were short this, you'd have a decision. You could either stay short and use this as your hard stop, or get out when one of these minor pyramids at the bottom form. And sometimes that's not a bad thing to do when you've had 1, 2, 3, 4 pyramids in a row, right? So we have a whole rule base behind that and how to handle a situation like this. But you definitely now, okay, are kind of back in a new channel here with the top of that channel here. So if you're looking at a trade here right now, I kind of would want that thing to break out. If I got in super early down here, all right, this would have been the only place I think I might have gone in here, okay, when this was green here. But, okay, if you're in already, great. If you're not in, I would wait for the breakout, personally, okay, just in case it stays channeled a little bit longer. Now you do have green over here, which is looking pretty good. So I'm kind of liking that. So that high on this green PTF is sitting here, what, at 105, not high enough to break this out. All right, I'm going to put this on a watch list though. I think it's close, whereas some of the others we looked at weren't as close. So let's put that on a watch list. All right, DOC. All right, Stuart, you're doing a good job because you got these on your watch list too. So on this one here, all right, again, I put it on a watch list. And I'm looking at the chart on the far right, which is our long-term chart with that pyramid. Let's let that pyramid get hit first, okay, before looking at it. All right, because you see, we have, if you're a real active trader and you want to trade the pyramids on these swings up like this, could have gotten in here, gotten out here, you could have gotten in here and gotten out here. So I don't necessarily think that's a good idea for this one. I think for this one, for more of a position trade, you need to wait. Okay. All right, Ellen, how are you doing? All right, DDOG. Let's see what we got cooking here. All right, so you're in these, and thought I typed that in. Let's see what we got here. DDOG. All right, where'd your picks go here, Eleanor? Let me just find you here. Okay, there you go. All right, so DDOG. So you're in these already. Let me reposition these indicators down here at the bottom so we have a bit clearer picture on what's going on. All right, so I don't know exactly where you got in, but at least at this particular point in here, if you're long, that seems to be the right place to go on. Now, there's not a lot of history on this. So it's really hard for me to get a good Elliott wave count on this. But let's just break it down and see what we do know from a reality standpoint. We've got a green pyramid, which is looking at the fractal pattern of the higher highs and higher lows. This is green, no red here, but yellow, that's neutral. So I don't see anything detrimental to this. The problem I'm having with this is I'm not sure exactly where it's going. That is the only issue I'm having. All right, so here, let's see if the lower time frames help us. Not too much, okay? Could this be the beginning of a new move and taking this out? Certainly could be, but my problem with this is it's retraced so much that this cannot be a 4, but it could be the beginning of a wave 3 for sure. That could be a possibility, but so far I'm not seeing the enthusiasm in this move up as much as, for example, in a straight move of a normal impulsive move. So, all right. But if you're long, I'd stay in long. There's no reason not to get out at this point. Certainly everything is going your way. I guess what I would do is, you know, you've got a low here, maybe use this low here as a stop out point in case things deteriorate. But at this particular point, I'd stay with it, okay? ZS. All right, so ZS here is one that we had said was going to pull back, and it certainly has, right? So we're in that target zone, but it's not done pulling back. So we're still going down. We got red PTFs on the short-term time frame, so we're not quite done with this. But if you were trading this from a position trade, you would have been out, okay? If you're a long-term trader on this, okay, you could stay in, but you got to have your stop far away, all right? So then you got to be okay with giving back, you know, 70 points on this from its high, right? Maybe more like 80 points now. Okay, so that is one of the problems with holding things long-term from a psychological standpoint. You've got to be able to weather the zigs and the zags. All right, so since you're still in it, I don't know where you got into it. Maybe you just got into it, but the idea is it's probably going to come down a little bit more. Okay. All right, let's take a look at NVO. NVO. All right, so if you're still in this one, on the daily chart, let me just see if this pyramid was hit yet. That's a low of 123.36 and 125. All right, so I'd probably put my stop here if you're position trading that. If you're long-term trading, you have to be able to be okay with holding this through a pullback. So if you look at the weekly chart here, all right, you've gone up quite a bit. So you're probably going into a minor 4 inside a major 3. So it's not yet going into a 4 on the weekly chart. This is a minor. So I think probably at this point here, let me draw some fibs on here. Let me see which chart would give me a better idea on that. So I'm thinking you got to take into account this big move up here. All right, let me just draw a couple fibs in. All right, perhaps going down that low is possible, but also too, we may have a short-term hook and only take it down to here. So I think at the very best scenario, we're probably going down to 113 to 98 and then more highs, okay? So you got to make a determination if you want to hang through that. And then the next time it makes a new high, you probably want to get out, okay? Because that'll be a significant high on the weekly chart. All right, good. All right, hey, Frank, another day trading buddy there. All right, gold and silver. So glad you mentioned this because this is one I definitely wanted to cover. All right, take a look at gold. Woo, all right. Get to Costco, buy your gold bars, right? Every time I hear that, I kind of like, okay, the gold run is over, right? All right, usually it's kind of like day trading back in the 1990s. When everybody starts talking about the markets and day trading, it's time to leave. All right, so let's take what we got here. All right, so here's a 3, here's a 4, here's a 5 so far, okay? Why do I say that? All right, well, this is more impulsive than what we're really experiencing so far. This could change, but so far. This has got the highest owl which is measuring momentum, and this is not as high. So that is typical between the differences between a wave 3, which is the most powerful wave in the light wave sequence, and a wave 5, which is also an impulsive wave, but at the particular point, it's not as powerful as wave 3. So you see it in the momentum and in the volume. All right, but notice the owl is calling this a small wave 3 over here. I don't think you can read that. Let me open it up. So we're in a wave 3 inside of 5 is basically what that means. So probably, my target was around 220 to up to, I think probably we're looking at around with a fib extension. I need a little more data on that left side to draw the fib extension, but it probably is looking for somewhere around, I would say 240 now, perhaps to 260 before we get into some type of target range. Well, probably a pullback before then, but gold's still going up. All right, so that's kind of gold. Let's take a look at silver. Silver is one also we recommended, especially when it broke out of the pennant. See the pennant I drew? I think we probably drew that maybe here a couple weeks ago. So notice the pennant drawn on the center chart right here. Okay, I also drew it over here. So we had a breakout on that with a pyramid. When you have a breakout of a pennant and also a new pyramid form, that's usually a really powerful signal. Now we got green PTFs on the short-term time frame, so this thing is still going up. But long-term, let's take a look at this long-term on this chart. We have not had the surge on this that we've had in gold. So there is a lot of big movement possible to the upside on silver. So actually, silver, I think, is coming into its own right now, and I really like it. Okay, I think it's got a potential to break its high, and it's breaking out of this channel for the most part right here. Okay, so it's looking pretty good right now. If you get in now, I would have liked for you to gotten in during the pennant breakout. Okay, so that's the problem with that. You're kind of chasing it a little bit, and you will get a pullback. You're seeing a little bearish divergence in the owl, which is bearish on this time frame. You're not seeing it here. You're not really seeing it here, so to speak. So, you probably, again, the way I would do it, all right, if it goes up a little further, fine. But, if you can get a pullback on this and try to get in, around 22 to 24 as a trader, that makes sense. As a long-term investor, as long as you don't care about the pullbacks and you don't have your stop so close, you can go in now. So I like silver, all right? I do like it, and I like it for a long term. But I would have liked you gotten it in a little bit better earlier. So I'll put down silver as okay for long term only. How's that? But you got to keep your stop really low, like around 20. And it's at 26. So I'm going to indicate that, okay? So stop at 20. Give it room for a pullback. All right, Frank, thank you. All right. Gene's asking about earthquakes in Eleanor's neck of the woods in New York. Eleanor, you're in New York, I think, right? You had one already. That was pretty amazing. And Eleanor says, no, quiet so far. Good. All right, Bradley. How are you, Bradley? Bradley purchased our software, about a couple months ago, right? And I think you're doing really well, Bradley. Excellent. And I'm glad you're coming here because it's a great way to learn how to use the software. All right, so let's take a look at these bullish short-term swing trades. Okay, TNDM. Let's see what we got for that. Okay, so again, too late to get in. Okay, I would have liked these earlier for you, but trying to figure out exactly. You had pyramids back here with a green PTF that would have been probably okay. Here's the pullback. Well, all right. The target's 56 to 82. So if you went to 82, you'd be really happy. If you got to 56, you would be pretty happy here too. I'm just trying to figure out. The reason why I say late is because we may be due for a pullback. This is not a 5, okay? This owl is too big for a 5. So I'm concerned a little bit with this And if you wanted to go in at 33, again, we want to put your stop lower than a fib retracement on this. So it needs to go to 20, at least below 27.21. All right. So maybe what you would want to do is I would use this pyramid right here and I would put it at 26. Okay. So what do you got? A 4-7 point spread and 33. Okay. That's 2 to 1. You could do that. All right. So I could put that one down as a buy if you go ahead and do that, but you will maybe have a pullback on that. So that's the only thing. And you got bearish divergence on the owl. Not my favorite, but I get it. Okay. All right. TREE. I probably would not take it, just so you know. All right. TREE. All right. Again, a little extenuated. Wait for the pullback on that one. All right. CYTK. Okay. So this one you have had the pullback. So I liking this one better. Beautiful setup on the weekly chart. So it looks like we are going higher. Okay. Had a nice decrease in the owl. We've got it bending back up and we've got a pyramid here. All right. Got a little pullback coming. Here's what I would do on this. This is why I like, all 3 time frames. Wait for this to turn green. You've got a little pullback here. I'm hopeful this pyramid will hold, but it may make a double bottom here before it goes. So this is saving you from going in right now. And this minor pyramid, which is a minor, okay, at this particular point, is telling you we're kind of heading down. So let's give it a little more time. This is probably a really good one for the watch list. Okay. If you're in it already, those that may be in it, again, you can hold it at this time. Hopefully we fill that gap, which I love. All right. So I'm thinking this is going to be pretty good. I just want this to turn here. So maybe over the next couple of days, Bradley, since you have our software and you have the setup like this, wait for that owl on the 60-minute chart to turn green, and also make sure that the yellow PTF does not go red. Because if it goes red, and even if this turns green, it's a no-go, okay? All right, this has got to stay yellow, and this has got to turn green before it goes. All right, so just give it a little more time. Put that on your watch list. Watch it every day, okay? All right, Eleanor is back. ARM, A-R-M. Let's see what we got on this one. All right, because we've looked at this one before. All right, not much history on ARM. All right, we were kind of expecting a little bit of a pullback. We got it. So here's a great example. If you chase these markets and you get in way up here at 150, well, now it's sitting at 128. And is it going to go lower? Well, it hit the target. We got a pyramid. I'd like this to be green before really initiating that this is over. And I think we'll get it because this is green over here. So I would stay long, okay, on this one. If you have to have a stop right now, I don't know where you entered, put it under the retracement area just to give it a little room in case it goes back into the target. All right, WPM, but you should be okay on that. All right, WPM, you're long here. Let's see what we got cooking here. So we came down a little further than this target zone, but if you extenuated that out, that would have been okay. So that went into a fairly significant pullback. All right, formed, but notice the support you had here, almost at the same price. So that price was what, 38.37, 38.40. So pretty much a double bottom right there. Okay, so that's kind of really good. Let's see where this thing could possibly go. All right, so it's definitely breaking out of this channel. This owl is bigger than this one. So let's see if we can get a target, somewhat of a target. What I find interesting here is that that probably is going to be the target. We're pretty darn close, right? So a little further, let's see, make sure the lower charts have, okay, there's a green PTF here, but there is not one here. All right, so you're probably going to get a pullback at some particular point. I don't know where you got in, but this has been a nice little leg up, and we did take out the previous high, but we do have a bigger owl now, so you could probably hold this, but you got to be prepared for some type of pullback at some point. Let me just get rid of this and draw it in, since we've broken out here. Draw in a little bit of a pullback area. So you kind of want to keep your stop under 47, okay? That's where I would be. I would keep it under 47. All right? So you can stay with that one. All right, Al is back. All right, CPNG. CPNG. All right, so Al has scanned and he's looking for a breakout. I see it on the weekly chart. Again, not much history to help us with the Elliott wave. The Elliott wave does require history in order for you to see what the count is on enough price bars that it makes sense. And on this case here, we only have a downdraft that's bottomed. All right. And of course, being new, that's going to be a 3, but who knows really officially what that could be right now. That is a huge owl to the downside. So you have to, anything pushing up at this particular point, you have to look at as a retracement only, not as a new trend. There's just not enough history either way. So 32 to 15 to 46 is the target. We do not have a pyramid. That's a P that's formed after that red P. So, okay, but you have green on the owl. This is a little bit more helpful here. So you have green PTFs now across the board, but you had a gap. Gaps always make me nervous. All right. So again, no, I don't like it. It's got to fill the gap. It's got to come back down. And I don't want to be caught chasing this market. So that's a no-go for me. RENT. Let's take a look and see what else we got cooking. All right, big move off the bottom on the daily. And okay, so all short positions were stopped out on the weekly at this particular point. But we've got green here. We've got green here. So again, it's a little early. Okay, let's see if we get a pullback. This is a bearish bar forming here. So we got to hold off on that. Let's see if we get a pullback and then get a pyramid forming in here. Then that's a different story. All right, put this on a watch list. It's too early to know that this is something super significant or the short's covering. So I would hold off on this yet at this point. It's going higher, okay, but you know where? That's the question. Kind of a tough one on that one. I would say wait for a pyramid on the daily chart. You got one on the 60-minute chart, but you also want to wait for one on the daily, because I think what you want to do is go in and hold this for a while. And you've got a huge owl, so you'll get a pullback, I think, on this, and maybe coming now. All right, so definitely watch list. Let's look at it next week. I like the concept, but I want to see that pyramid on the daily. Okay, so what are we in here? Okay, CYRX. Let's open up the weekly. All right, so move off its bottom. All right, so this came way back and actually came way back into the starting point, just about, right? But it did not go lower, so we had to pull up. We've got an active short trade in progress with a MP, minor pyramid, telling us that there is a correction against the dominant trend. So, all right, so let's see what happens on the lower time frames here. Okay, so you got a slight move up here, but you got a red PTF on the 60. So wait and bring it back next week, okay? The red PTF on the 60 would keep me from doing anything. All right, Jim. Jim is back. Bang, F-A-N-G. Long, thinking about a long position. Okay, yeah, it would have been good a while ago. Again, at this particular point, we're getting some more highs on this, but I don't think there's a lot of room for it to go much higher. Also, too, it looks like we're getting a hook on the 60-minute time frame. So we may be getting ready for a pullback on the daily chart. So let's look at it again. And there's not a lot of history. You're only going back to 2014. And we had one swing up on the weekly chart and then a full swing down. So that's kind of tough to get a full count on that. We probably are in an Elliott wave 3 of some form now. And that's also what the owls are indicating. But as you can see, this has been underway for a long time. So I'm gonna say no go on this one. Okay. I just think we're getting close to the move that is already in progress to the upside. All right, let's say CHEV. CHEV. All right. I think I typed that in. CHEV. All right, let's see what we got here. It's getting harder, isn't it, to find stocks because they've run up so much. And now we're in a little bit of a correction area. All right, so we got green PTFs. I don't yet have data on the 60-minute for some reason for this, but we have data on the daily and the weekly, so that'll probably fill in a minute. So in this case here, I wish you would have told me you were already in it back a while ago, because it was definitely a good buy at that point. Now we're kind of stuck with the channeling that's going on here. So take a look at that. Do you like that? I don't. Would you go long on that? PTF trade maybe to 16, the high here. So 16.35, we're at 15. You do have the risk to reward. I guess I'd like to see this break out a little bit more here on this channel before taking it. But it's just a messy chart. And you have a lot of low liquidity days. I mean, look, you got spots in here. Okay. Not my favorite. Use limit orders for sure. Okay. If you go into this, I'm not going to recommend it to the group because of the low liquidity, but I get it. Okay. All right. Let's see what we got. Alexander, good to have you here as well. Good morning to you. All right. All right. Let's see what else we got here. All right, Frank. Frank is back with NVIDIA. Oh, yes. This talk of the town these days, right? All right. So NVIDIA needs no introduction, right? Look at that. Whew. All right. So definitely, wave 3. Talk about clarity. You got it here. Let me just see here. All right. So, we looked at this before. Our concern was it's going into perhaps a correction at this particular point. My only feeling on this is that, yeah, it certainly could be, but we haven't really had a significant hook yet. I usually like to see the hook, right? Before I get excited about the end of a trend. We haven't quite had that. Sometimes we don't get it. Okay, I get that. If we look at the weekly chart here, extremely bullish, bullish, no fear and greed yet. So more highs are coming with NVIDIA. Very powerful. A lot more highs. This is still in, looks like a wave 3 that's not over. And so I want to see that hook in there before it's over. The problem, Jim, hopefully you're long already, okay, because you're saying you're long. So I would just basically have your stop at this pyramid at this point in case it goes into something more significant in terms of a move down. Let me just see here. We could be going into a lower area here as a possibility, but so you might want to put your stop down a little further to allow that. But I also could see this hooking straight up because you do have a green PTF now. So things have changed a little bit. So I'm thinking maybe one more high on this before it goes into some serious profit taking. Okay. So I'd stay with it at this point. You do not technically have a red owl on the daily, but that could happen by the time we meet next week. So, there you have it. But any pullback here is going to be just a pullback, but you could get something fairly significant. I think because we haven't gotten the hook, I think you could draw your fibs close. So I think somewhere, I guess you need to put that stop under this price bar here, and you should be okay. And the next hook up, get out. All right, unless it's an investment. If it's an investment, after this move up, you'll have a fairly big correction, and then it should make higher highs. But as traders, we don't usually like to do that. All right. Yes, so far we only got a couple here. All right, let's see. Yes, good job, everybody. Let's see. Oh, I love hearing this. Bradley, thanks, Gene. Loving the art software. Good. Always love to hear. You put a lot of effort into it too, Bradley, so good job. All right. And as Gene says, we are here to help you. One of the things that one of my pet peeves with running this business is to provide the best customer service possible. And we do that in a variety of ways. I've got Gene there who answers day-to-day issues and phone calls and questions and so forth. She's excellent at that. But we also provide a lot of webinars throughout the week. We have that client support webinar every Wednesday, where if you have a problem, and I do those, I don't hand those off to somebody else to do. I do those. And if you have a problem or a question with any of our course materials or software, you can bring it to that. So basically, a problem should not go unanswered by me more than on a weekly basis, right? And we also cover education. We also have a fantastic ticket situation where you can fill out a ticket and it gets answered immediately. So we got you covered, is what I'm trying to say. And I think, especially when we get into the market sell-off, most of these companies are probably going to go by the wayside. We're kind of like turtles. We just keep going. We keep going. We've got, plenty of assets stored and ready to keep us going no matter pretty much whatever happens. So we're in good shape financially, and we'll be here for you. Okay. So that's the main thing. All right. So let's see. Eleanor's back with DE. Let's check out DE. All right. So you're in all these. Good. That helps me. All right. Boy, it's been kind of a roly-poly for you, hasn't it, on that daily chart? So I'm thinking here, it's kind of looking a little interesting. Boy, it's been roly-poly for quite some time. We had kind of a nice move down. Looks like it made another high. And guess what I think I can draw here? Let me just see how long, a long pennant maybe. Possibly. So when we get into these messy type of situations like this, these pennants can kind of add some type of clarity as to what could happen. I got to tell you, we're probably due for a pullback at some point. I don't think the pullback is necessarily done, especially if you look at the 60-minute chart. It's pretty extended. So if we get any type of normal pullback, we could be going into that now. We're looking at 392 to 379. So that will put it at the lower part of that pennant. So I'm not saying the trend up is, well, I am saying the trend up is probably due for a correction, but I don't think necessarily the big market move is over, okay? So I think that's what you take away from it. But we have had a hook. So probably, I don't know how much profit you got in it, but this is kind of becoming a little bit funny. You can keep an eye on that pennant or bring it back. But I think realistically, 392 to 379 is a possibility here short term, okay? And you can make up your mind on how you want to stay in or get out based on that forecast. All right, VRT. All right, a little different, but again, don't go in it now. But if you're in it, boy, I bet you've enjoyed that ride, right? All right, so that's a wave 3, no question about it. Trees don't grow to the sky forever, neither do wave threes, right? So you always got to kind of be ready. But the pyramids have done a great job on this, and they've got the stop right here. Okay. Now, if this is an investment and you don't want to trade it and get out based on the daily chart, then be prepared for a significant correction. All right. And then more highs, like I drew on the far right-hand chart. So Fibonacci corrections usually indicate profit-taking areas. And they usually start at 38.2% and go down to 61.8. So that means that wherever the high is on the move up that you draw the fib retracement on, you can expect a 38 to 61% retracement. That's pretty huge. All right. So there's times when it is better to get out and not get stuck in that downward spiral, especially if it's on a long-term chart, because it can last for a year or so. So, again, I probably at this particular point would try to keep my stop at the pyramid on the chart in the center, the daily chart. And so that price there at the bottom of this pyramid is 77.16. So you want to put it just under that. 77, start at 77.15 or a little bit lower if you want to give it some room. Okay, so again, it depends on where you got in and what you're trying to do, but that's what I would do, because you're going to have a pretty good correction on this at some point. I'm not saying it's coming tomorrow. You still got a strong owl here, so I imagine you'll get more highs. And notice we got a blue pyramid forming here, and what that means, that's an unconfirmed pyramid. So it's waiting for the higher high to get confirmed. In other words, it has to breach the apex of the point. Then it will turn green and print the P under here. And then you put your stop there. Okay. That's how you work it. So basically, new pyramids are like trailing stops. Okay. Cool. All right, Kevin, how are you? I haven't seen you here in a while. All right. FUTU. Good to have you here. All right. So you're long on this. Okay, well, we got green PTFs across the board. I'm liking that. A little bit of a pullback, so you survived that, right? I don't know how long you've been long. We should get up one more time on this. It's kind of a little bit of a messy market. I think what I would do is I would roll. When I see a messy market like that, I try to go to a lower time frame or a higher time frame. If I go to a higher time frame, that means I'm going to be in it for a long time. If I go to the lower time frame, it's kind of trying to suck out the momentum on a very short-term basis. So we have some clarity here on this 60-minute chart. So let's just open this up and focus on this impulsive wave and this pullback. So the pullback here, all right, is probably a wave 4. So let's just check that. Here's your 2. Let's check that. We hit the target on that. So we're good there for the pullback. Now let's go ahead and go in with the fib extensions and see how that's looking for a target on this. So our target on this is 65 to 72, right? All right. So this leg up is over because this pyramid has been stopped out. So if you were trading just this leg here, you would take profits here. Wait for the pullback and then look for another reason to get in, provided this bottom holds. If you're in it now, all right, and you don't mind holding for a pullback, you should get rewarded up to the target. So I think probably that's maybe what you're doing here. So you got to have that stop pretty far back. Okay. So I think you're going to have a little bit more of a pullback here and then higher highs. Okay. So I'll let you decide on how you want to handle that. And that is a 60-minute chart. So this should all unwind within the next week or two. And then I'd get out, because it's just not a very, at this particular point, we haven't broken any highs here. All right. Maybe if it gets to 72, yeah, it's close. This is close to this point here. So looks like we're going to maybe get to the top of this channel here and then have another pullback. And then if it resurges and takes that channel out, then you might have a long-term trade, okay, as well. So you can, we'll bring it next week, okay? All right. Let's see what else we got here. Okay, Frank, let's take a look at the QQQ. The index is here. Okay. So we're up over its short-term target. We probably got a little bit more move up. So it's reached the 70% target for this short-term move here. So we're kind of due for that pullback that we've kind of been thinking. So this is still green. So it looks like we got one more push up. So maybe a little hook, Frank, up to the upside. Okay. Before we had a little red, then it got put back. So I'm thinking a little bit higher high on this. I don't think, I think we're going into a profit taking age here on age. I don't know if that's the right word, but a profit taking time period, I guess I should say, on the indexes overall. So this is probably a short-term top pullback, and then we can expect more highs. So I don't think at this particular point I would enter a long position. If you're long, I'd probably hold it because you have the green PTF on the 60-minute. And then when that turns yellow, I'd look for a reason to get out. Okay. Now, the PTF's right 75% of the time. So 25% of the time is wrong. So if it immediately turns red on the 60-minute, I'd get out. Okay. That means it was wrong. Okay. All right. And yeah, I think that probably makes sense. Good morning, Kevin, to you. All right. And Frank says short-term profit taking on everything. Okay. Yeah, I just think we're getting close to a high. Now, just overall on the markets in general, I think we're going into, like Frank says, a profit-taking period. I think after this ends, we're going to have more highs. I know a lot of people are indicating, you know, if you go to YouTube and watch those things, a lot of people are indicating that the market is beginning a major sell-off. I don't think so. All right. I think that's coming later, but I don't think it's here yet. I'm not looking for that quote unquote major sell-off until probably late 2024 or early 2025. So I think what we're in now is a profit-taking pullback. Now, if it deepens and goes much further than profit-taking, well, then I'll change my mind. But for right now, that's the way I'm looking at it. Okay. So I think we got another high coming on the markets after we give back some gains a little bit here. Okay. All right. So let me just take a look at one more thing, TLT. And TLT is the ETF for bonds. And right now, I got to tell you, I would love to get into bonds at some point, but not yet. It's coming down. We have a red PTF on the weekly chart. And I know a lot of folks out there are buying TLT, and I get it. But according to our software, it's not done coming down yet. So I would hold off on that. Okay. Eventually it will bottom and will be good, but I don't think it's quite done there yet. Now, UNG is another kind of interesting one because UNG is the ETF for natural gas. And that has recently made new lows. Okay. New lows, which is kind of interesting. I think most of us don't see those new lows on our monthly gas bill, do we? But it is definitely making new lows here. So again, I'm looking for a long trade on this at some point, but not yet. All right. So, you know, we'll keep an eye on TLT. We'll keep an eye on UNG. And when those do finally give us a go, I think they'll be great trades, but not yet. Okay. So hang back on those. All right. So I guess we'll wrap it up. All right. Are we done? I don't see any more stocks coming in. Great session. I'll do the review in a moment. Okay. And we don't really have too many, right? We got a couple on the watch list, and that's about it. Towards the end, you know, I always put it on the day trading charts and take a look at that as well. Let's just quickly see how that Bitcoin is doing here. All right. It is right around 690, 143, 147. So it's come down a little bit. But again, it still broke out of that. I'm not going to get concerned about Bitcoin unless it goes below this pyramid low here at 64. What is that? 64, roughly 521. All right. And then it's got a pullback bottom. Now it's possible, all right, if it breaks down to go into this target area before going up. but that is not the forecast based on the fact that we have now a pyramid and a pop above the pennant. So we're kind of thinking it's on its way. And if you look at the short-term chart on the left, we did hit the target zone on that pullback. So I'm expecting a little bit of volatility like we're seeing now and more highs for sure. All right, so let me just quickly take the center screen here. All right, and just wrap it up, and then we'll put some of the day trading time frames up because that's always fun. All right, so good ones today, silver, but it's a long-term trade. And I've got on my notes here is to put the stop at 20. So it's not a short-term trade. You're going to be in that one a while. And I don't think that's a bad thing, okay? On the good side as well, we got TNDM, all right? So that is another one. So we only have 2 trades. You know, normally we have like 5, right? If not more. So this is indicating to me that, you know, market kind of toppy right here, probably getting ready to go into that zig or the zag, however you want to look at it. All right, which is profit taking. All right, on the watch list, I've got in front of me here, Team, SWK, DOC, CYTK with a, that's probably one of the best ones on the watch list. You want to pay attention closely, and then RENT, okay? So that's where we are for this week. All right, so listen, give us a like right now, and then I'm going to turn it over to the full screen again and put the intraday time frames up and leave it there for a few minutes, and then we will close the room. Good turnout today. I want to thank everybody for coming today. You guys and gals out there are terrific. And this is always a fun session for me to do where I can actually interact. You know, they say trading's a lonely business, and yes, it is. So you got to get out. You got to get with the people. I love our day trading room for that. And I also love all our webinars where we get to interact with you all. All right, so listen, have a great week. Always use risk control. I'm going to go full screen back here again, and let's take a look and see what some of these small time frames. Now, when we day trade, we kind of almost do the same type of analysis that we do on these larger markets. The only difference is the actual time frames are really, really small. For example, notice here we've got the 15-second on the left, the 1 minute in the center, and the 5 minute on the right, right? So we've kind of, you know, got all these things measured up here. And let me just get this over here, and we'll put that there and give you a little bit of insight. So it looks like equities are coming down again. All right, so this is the M2K, which is the Russell 2000. So this would be probably not a bad short trade here. Let's go over and see what the MES is doing. That's a popular one. All right, so we got red PTF. So again, nice short trade, but it's a little late. You know, the short trade would have been better on these pyramids up here when you had red owl and red here, but looks like we're heading down. All right, so our first target is the PTF target down here. So let me just put a little extended horizontal line here. We're probably heading below that. And then we've had bullish divergence here. So yeah, I think probably one more hook down, and we'll probably see then a bottom and then a move back to the upside. So that's kind of where we're heading. Maybe we can draw a fib extension here and kind of get an idea of where we're sitting for a potential target as well. So we should break through that red line, get to that target. We could go deep into the target. We could also see a turnaround as soon as we get there. Also, too, if we're going through that red line now, if the PTF stays red, then it means lower lows with a 75% certainty. But right now, we're statistically getting into the target zone there. And let's see, you guys can watch, and we'll see what happens with that in terms of the PTF. So we're kind of heading down in that direction. So nice short trade setup. We got to, all right, so the PTF is going to remain red. Okay, so we got this now still red, and it went below the 20% band, which will keep it red. So even if we get a pull-up, here's the importance of the PTF. Even if we get a pull-up, as long as that remains red, there's a 75% chance it's telling you that's not the bottom. So your stop up here is good. Hopefully that'll hold. And we should see a turnaround back into the target, or we may get one sooner. But basically you want to hold this short at this point. Now, the pyramid formed up here, and it looked for the pattern, but it also looked for the momentum. So this is a high probability support area. So you kind of want to have your stop there. All right, so there you have it, okay? And we got a red PTF now on the 60-minute. So that pyramid should hold you just fine. We should make new lows at some point. But I do expect a pop up to 51.90 before we probably break down again, but we'll see. All right, so I'm going to leave you for right now. I'll put a little music on and we'll see you back here next week. And again, have a great week. Frank, good point. Amazing how we will mostly make a profit out of a bad market. That's the wonderful thing about trading and using technical analysis, is because there is always a price pattern that, and we wait for that, that can increase the probabilities of us making a gain. Okay. So that's the key thing. We're patient. We wait for those price patterns and use all our tools in our trading toolbox. So absolutely correct. So it doesn't matter if the market's selling off, doesn't matter if the economy's bad or good. We just, basically adjust, but yet use the same tools in order to react to the market. Okay. And then use strict risk control. Good point. All right, guys, we'll see you next week. Thanks so much. you.